many things of subtle nature, the second seal. When will this come to an end? Suffering come to an end? When will these causes come to an end? And of course, impermanence, there are three kinds. Like 2018, whether we put effort or whether you don't put effort, automatically it comes to an end. One, kind of impermanence, which automatically comes to an end on its own. Number two, which never comes to an end while it is impermanent, it never comes to an end no matter what effort you put in. For example, your mind never comes to an end, and yourself, the person, doesn't come to an end at all. Till Buddhahood, even beyond that, it continues. Third category of impermanence, where you put effort, it comes to an end. If you don't put effort, it'll just perpetuate, like the suffering, like the self-grasping ignorance, like the self-centered attitude. They will never come to an end on their own. This is the third category. Okay, at least there's hope that if you put effort, then we can bring an end to these, the cause of miseries, thus bring an end to all the fears of life, all the fears of samsara. How to bring an end to the causes of the miseries? Knowing that all the miseries, they arise from the contaminant karmas, and the karmas arise from the afflictions, and the afflictions arise from, all the gross afflictions arise from the inappropriate attention, which in turn arises from the self-grasping ignorance. Okay, this is the root. So where thousands and thousands of buildings, skyscrapers, buildings are constructed on iceberg. The moment iceberg is brought to melting, the moment you melt the iceberg, however thousands of buildings you constructed on this iceberg will all come to crumble. So this self-grasping is like the iceberg. You melt it, you dissolve it, and all the however millions of varieties of afflictions, contaminant karmas, inappropriate attention they will all crumble. Thus, all the miseries will crumble. You cut the root of the poisonous tree, however millions of poisonous leaves they are growing on the trees, they will all dry on the amazing. So what should I do to get rid of this, the final root of all the miseries, self-grasping ignorance? What should I do to get rid of that? Cultivate the counter force. Don't just have a blind faith and believe in prayers. Prayer is important, but then introduce counter force. Prayers must be there as a boosting factor to introduce this counter force. Pray to make this enthusiasm to bring the counter force. What is the counter force? Ignorance is like darkness. Just as the darkness can be practically eliminated only to introduce the light, it is only to introduce the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eliminated. What is this wisdom? Wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? The reality is indicated by the Buddha as the third seal. Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Okay. So how can I know this, the third line? Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Oh, we're going to quickly meditate on the emptiness of yourself. Or today, emptiness of somebody who you love so much, your mother, your father, your child, your husband, your wife, or somebody who loves you, or brother or sister, or somebody you love so much. Okay, let's visualize that person in front of you. How does this person appear to you? Like a dream or like a movie projected by your mind? Your mind like a movie projector? So is that how you see that person? Or you see it so independent that nothing to do with mind. Nothing to do with my mind. This person, he, she is solidly there. Okay, this is known as self-grasping ignorance. And what is your emotional reaction? Very appealing feeling to see that person. Very appealing. Okay. So this appealing feeling is grounded on this perception. of that person to be so objectified, solidified there from the object, nothing to do with my mind. This which is known as self-grasping ignorance. How can I know that this is ignorance? How do we know that this is not reality? Okay, if this person does exist objectively the way we see that, remember what Nagarjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, let us all say this two lines together. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Again, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Likewise, if this person were to exist objectively, why not I see this person as I go closer to this object? Okay, now let us go closer to this object. Let us go closer to that person as object. We're closer to this person. We're only interested in that person. We are not interested in anything which is not a person. So anything you meet with which is not a person, let's discard them. Let's ignore them. Okay, first we meet with the very thin skin of that person. That is not a person. That's not the person that I love. Okay, keep that aside. Behind that is a fatty tissue. Of course it is not me. Fatty tissue is so repulsive to look at. And this person is so appealing. That is not that person. Behind that, muscles and cartilage, of course not. Keep that aside. Behind that, the bones, the blood vessels, the bone marrows, the whole skeleton. Of course not. It's very scary to look at these skeletons. And this person is so appealing. So the skeleton is also not that person. The heart, the lungs, the spleen, the gallbladder, the kidney, the intestine, and the stomach. None of these is that person. Guaranteed, 100% taken away. Now you've already taken all the solid parts of that person, solid parts. These solid parts constitute the element of earth. And the earth of that person is not that person. Okay, keep that aside. Now the element of water, the on average 4.7 or 4.7 liters of the blood which flows through the body of that person, the element of water. Of course, this is not that person. Keep that aside. Element of fire, the body heat. No, the body heat is not that person. Keep that aside. Element of air, the air that the person breathes in and out through his or her lungs. No, that is not that person. Keep that aside. Element of space. So, the solidity of that person appeals me, not the vacuum space. The space is vacuum in nature. That is not me. That is not that person. Keep that aside. What is left? Now only the consciousness of the mind is left. That mind of the person is not that person. This person is male. The person is female. That mind does not have the gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body of the person. So this mind is not that person. And on top of that, I can see the person. I cannot see his or her mind. So if that mind or consciousness is not a person, keep that aside. So now we know that, now we realize the person which has so objectively solidified there, that person is not actually one with his parts, the 6 elements. None of the 6 elements is the part, is the person. So this realization is a realization of the person being empty of his part, empty of being one with his parts. Now take aside the parts, take aside all the 6 elements. What is left there is different. Whether or not something is left there is different as a person. No, not at all. Nothing is left there. If you're convinced with this, you are convinced with the 3rd essential. That the person is not different from his parts. It's that the person is empty of being different from his parts. That different from the parts, there is no person left there. And there as a distinct entity. Okay. Now the 3rd essential. Should you know that the person is not one with his parts or different from the parts, then from the object side, nothing is there as the person. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Okay, So now where is the self from the object? Conclusion. Therefore, there is no objectively existent self. So amidst the six, go back to six elements. What are you seeing? I'm seeing the six elements of the person. Where is that person? That person disappears. The person is empty. The person is not really there. Okay, you are seeing two isolates. Isolate of the six elements, which is a positive phenomena, and the isolate of the emptiness of the person, or the absence of the person, which is non-affirming negative. Of the two, you pick up the second isolate. You use the first isolate as the stepping stone to get to the second isolate, which is the emptiness of the isolate of the emptiness of the person. Stay in this experience. Go back to six elements. Ask yourself, where is the person? The person is empty. The moment you say, person is not there, this is what I'm discovering. When you say person is not there, you are getting the glimpse of the emptiness. Although it can be very gross, it doesn't matter. Stay in this experience. This is known as meditation on the space-like emptiness. Meditation on the space-like emptiness. Now imagine that you come out of this meditation. Again the person comes back, sobs, unified. I'm going to go back to meditation, the six elements. You see the person disappears. Again it's empty. Again come out. Again the person comes back. There's a constant change happening. The person appears, disappears, appears, disappears. There's a constant change happening. And of course this change is not happening on the object. It's happening on the perception. And perception is purely subjective. Whatever is involved as a part of the perception is purely subjective. So this person which I cherish, which I love, who I love so much, is just nothing but a part of this perception, which is purely subjective. Subjective means it is empty of being objective. So this person is not really there from the object. It's just coming in as a mere appearance, a perception there, beyond which nothing is there as an object. It's just a mere perception. Perception is purely coming from your mind. Just like a dream, just as a dream is coming from your mind, even this person is also coming from your mind. The awareness that this person is like a dream, not at all sorted from the object. This is known as a meditation on the illusion like emptiness. What's the benefit of this meditation? Yes, of course, it's very profound. Not only profound, there's a tremendous, incredible ultimate benefit. What is that? Just as when this person is subjected to this analysis, ultimate analysis, the person is empty, found to be empty of objective existence. Likewise, we subject all phenomena, sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, all into this analysis. They will likewise be discovered that they're empty from the object. The moment you discover that they're empty from the object, your mind will instantly be lifted up with such a relief, where your mind is not going to be pulled or thrown into anguish and so forth by any external factors. You see that even what can potentially throw you, you see that they are all just coming from your mind. Just like the person who saw the ghost chasing you, who saw the tiger chasing you in a dream, the moment the person wakes up, the person gets the total freedom from the tiger of the dream. The tiger dream, the dream tiger, cannot affect the person anymore. Likewise, the samsaric sickness, aging, death, and so forth, the dream of the samsaric sickness, aging, death, and so forth, cannot affect you anymore. That is known as the total freedom from the fears of samsara. That experience of the emptiness, where all the miseries dissolve, is the nirvana, is the final understanding of nirvana, and the mind seeking to achieve that state is the final understanding, most subtle understanding of renunciation, renouncing suffering, seeking to renounce suffering. This is the subtlest version of understanding of the renunciation. Otherwise, in a loose sense, we say, I want to renounce suffering. This is a very cursory form, superficial understanding of renunciation. The actual understanding of the final understanding of renunciation is wanting to renounce all the miseries in the face of the experience of emptiness. Okay, stay in this experience. May I be able to experience this emptiness. The national Dharmakaya, where all the miseries dissolve. This is the renunciation in its ultimate form, in its truest form, in its most subtle form. Okay, slowly come out of this practice. Come out. Okay, we'll move to the bodhicitta practice. Okay, for the bodhicitta practice, let us. There are two methods there. The sevenfold cause-effect method and the method regularizing exchanges of others. So this we have to study separately. And if you're interested, there are many books available there, like His Holiness's book, The Path to Bliss, How to Practice. There are many of the books of His Holiness. And then if you really want to go into detail, you can read the Words of My Perfect Teacher by Dharmadhatu Rinpoche. And you can also read the what is that? The liberation in the liberation the ornament of liberation by Thapo Rinpoche from the Kagyu tradition, and then the Words of My Perfect Teacher by Dharmadhatu Rinpoche from the Nyingma tradition. These are brilliant books. And then after practicing the two methods, if you confront with difficulties, if you confront with some dilemmas, and where you don't see that you are progressing any further, if this is the challenge that you're facing after some the practice, and then you read the Lamrim, the Lamrim 3 volumes, Lamrim, that is to refine your practice. Initially you read it, you may see it so academic. You read the Words of My Perfect Teacher, it's so direct. So you can read the Words of My Perfect Teacher, which is like so direct and very helpful. And then the ornament of ornament of liberation. Ornament of liberation by Thapo Tarkin, Thapo Rinpoche, ornament of liberation. Again, that has a great scholarly work there. Scholarly work there is extremely beneficial to track where you can get the sources. It's very beautiful text about Tarkin. And then in terms of the actual practice, you keep practicing, and then for the steps, various steps, you read His Holiness's books, The Path to Bliss, the Path to How to Practice, and so forth. These books are so good in enumerating these steps. So ready-made practice. Then, and if you want somebody to babysit, then all the recordings of the teachings from Tibet House are available. Babysitting teachings are available there. Then, in the course of your practice, if you babysitting the bodhicitta, right? Just the babysitting the stage, the initial stage, you want to know how the bodhicitta practice like this, all the records are available from Tibet House. Then to refine your bodhicitta practice, where you see these subtle nuances, you read any other books, you're not getting answers, right? The other books you read, you're not getting answers now. You already reached to some level of the expertise in the bodhicitta practice. You're confronted with some challenges where you don't go any further. Okay, I know this book, I know the now I'm getting stuck somewhere. So there you read Lama Tsongkhapa's text. Then the answers will be given there. Answers to the challenges of your practice, right? Otherwise, if you read Lama Tsongkhapa's book right in the beginning, most of the cases you may feel it too technical and academic. But, so you will feel the value of this only when you reach somewhere. The practice somewhere, then you confront. In fact, this is my personal experience. Say, I come across some problems with the practice. Okay, this is not working, I don't progress any further. And I read this book, there's no answer there. I read this book, there's no answer there. Then I read Lama Tsongkhapa's book, the answers are there. Wow, so compassionate, so brilliant, not just compassionate, very brilliant, able to pinpoint where anybody can potentially stuck, where anybody can potentially get stuck there in your practice. You could just pinpoint them in a very direct form and precise, so that you will just feel like crying. You are like somebody who is so thirsty, and here the water is given, the nectar is given to you. This you will find only when you practice and reach somewhere. So before you practice, just if you want to know, okay, I want just one book, I don't want to read many books, or Lama Tsongkhapa's book, you read it, it's very technical. Better read the other books I mentioned. And the other books are so good, like The Words of My Perfect Teacher, and his own books, they are so good. Okay. So these are the two methods. The sevenfold cause-effect method and the equalizing and exchanging self-others. These two methods must be practiced. If you don't practice these two, no matter what practice that you do, Tonglen, all this practice, if you do just on their own, they will never give rise to bodhicitta. Particularly Tonglen, many people, they do Tonglen practice. It's good, and many teachers also advise people to do the Tonglen practice when you go through difficulties. Oftentimes, say the Tonglen practice is a part of the method of equalizing and exchanging self-others. It's a part of that. Method of equalizing and exchanging self-others, it has 9 steps. Tonglen practice is step number 4 and 5. So if you do Tonglen practice just on its own step 4 and 5, without the prerequisites, step 1 through to 3, and later on added to that step 6 through to 9. If you don't include these practices, Tonglen practice at times it can become it can lead you to burnout cases. It can lead you to burnout cases where you already are going through suffering yourself, and then you take the suffering, more suffering. I'm already reached to suffering, I don't want to take any more. Right? Taking the suffering from others. So therefore, this Tonglen practice will become very effective if you incorporate the first 3 steps. First 3 steps will tell you that finally what I want is, I'm not a bodhisattva, I'm an ordinary person, I'm marked with self-centered attitude. I want something for me. What do you want? I want happiness. The real great happiness, if you want it, you have to practice Tonglen. Right? First 3 steps will tell you that I'm an ordinary person, that I want happiness, and all this happiness comes from cherishing others. This is what we practice so much with the first 3 steps. From there, then how can I get my happiness from cherishing others? How to cherish others? Do Tonglen. Then the Tonglen becomes very powerful. So therefore, it is so important to incorporate Tonglen practice with the first 3 practices, and the next step number 6, 7, 8, 9, the next 4 practices. They must be included. Okay. Whereas here, because of the constraint of time, we do usually in group, I do the bodhicitta practice on the basis of the 4 immeasurables. 4 immeasurables. And otherwise, by yourself, when you're on your own, then 4 immeasurables should be precursor. It should be like the preliminary. It should not be the main practice. The main practice must be one of the 2 methods. And practically speaking, if there is constraint of time, you can do one method today, and the second method the next day. You alternate between these 2 methods. Whereas many people, they do the 2 methods together. Whereas make your practice small and beautiful. Don't make the practice bulky, right? Bulky and burdensome. Make it small. Make it short. Don't make it like 2 hours, 3 hours meditation, and then in 1 week, okay, good, and then you feel tired. Okay, I don't have much time, I'll do tomorrow because I have to go to work. Then finish. So make it short, like 10 minutes, 15, high quality practice. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, wind this up, and even if you like to do more, right? Leave and go to your job, go to your work, whatever you have to do that, right? Initially, consistency is more important than the quantity. Initially, quantity is not important. Initially, consistency is important. With the consistency, what happens? With the consistency, then the feeling of the ease will come. The feeling of the ease with the practice. The practice becomes easy for you. Initially, when you're not so used to the practice somehow, although you find it exciting, enjoyable, but it is still not, you are not familiar with this. Because you're not familiar with this, it is a little tough. For example, if you are to stay, so the Sudhakarji and Sudhakshan, my 2 friends, so they have their experience, right? to stay with the new person, to stay at a new place, with the new host. Again, you have to adapt. Again, next day you have to move to the next. Again, you have to adapt. Again, you have to adapt. So likewise, our mind is like meeting with the new host. The practice which we have never done before, we are doing it new. So therefore, you have to adapt. Adapting needs exertional energy. So you don't feel that, but it is you are exerting energy. When the energy exerted, right, and then there's a tiredness. You may not feel that. How do you know that there's a tiredness happening which you're not aware of? Then, say after like 1 week, okay, I have work to do. I have to catch up with the go to work. I'm a little late. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it this evening. When that happens, already is the indication that you are feeling tired, right? So initially, don't focus on I have this sadhana to do, and then what? Highest Yoga Tantra in Singapore, it is HYT. In Singapore, I heard this in Singapore, HYT, Highest Yoga Tantra, right? It's very popular. Okay, Highest Yoga Tantra, this Shirikala Chakra Sadhana, Shirikala Samaja Tantra Sadhana, and then Bodhisattva Visram, this they're all missing because we don't have time. And you have the work to go, right? Okay, so therefore, don't be so eager until there's a natural drive coming in you. Natural drive coming in you through several years of exposure to Dharma plus practice. Not just exposure. I've been attending the Dharma Friends of Israel teachings all the time. This is not sufficient. Listening and then exerting your effort on a daily basis, practicing something, and then on the basis of which even the people, they feel comfortable with you. Okay, this person is highly learned, really learned for these many years, and also practices. So this kind of respect is coming to you, and your mind becoming more compassionate and the more sensible, more calm, not irritable, and then at one point, say that naturally it comes to you, Highest Yoga Tantra teachings. This comes to you, you accept it. Till that point, don't jump. Otherwise, this is oftentimes the problem. I come across people, I meet with people who say, oh, Geshe, shall I take this empowerment? I said, okay, you may take it later. I said it. I don't say don't. You may take it later. And it was, no, I'm hearing from other people that this is the last teaching, last empowerment that this one's giving. This is so precious. And it's given only once in the 12 years, once in the 30 years. It's so precious. Otherwise, we'll not get it. It's more precious than all the Buddhas. Right? But it's not for you. At this point. It's not for you at this point. Okay, then finally the person takes the empowerment. After taking the empowerment, commitments are there. Then after a while, after 1 month, first excited to do the commitments, then later on cannot catch up with the commitments. Then say, Geshe, what should I do? I didn't ask you to take empowerment. Right now, why are you coming to me? Right? What should I do? I have all these commitments, I cannot fulfill the commitment, what should I do? This is just unnecessary. Right? So just focus, make your practice very small. Don't be too ambitious with the Highest Yoga Tantra and so forth. Keep them aside. Right? Okay. Just look at His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness. He teaches all this Tantra, but very skillfully, saying that for even some tantric empowerments given, the commitment you have to do is the practice of bodhicitta, practice of visualization. Look, how skillful. How skillful, so kind. So what I'm saying is that make your practice short and quality. Don't emphasize on the quantity. Right? First, consistency is more important than the quantity. Initial focus on the consistency. Once the consistency is built, then the ease of the practice comes. With the ease, even 1 hour is not a difficulty. Even 2 hours is not a difficulty. Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind. With that in mind, okay, let's quickly do the first 2 immeasurables. Okay, reinforce the visualization of the Buddha's bodhisattvas in front of you.